Oh, so okay. This was a while ago. Okay.
Might be a bit of a memory jogger.
All right, let me dig through the archives. Hold on. This is gonna take a while. Oh my God. Well, for let's see, for WordGirl, my job was to develop the show. So come up with a lot of the characters, the world, how those characters talk to each other, the tone, the voice of the show, and just turn it into a show, turn some like ideas into an actual show. And then, I wrote, I was also the main writer at first before the show even got off the ground. So like there were a series of like 20 shorts, I believe, and then 10 really, really short shorts. So like 20
Oh
two.
yeah.
Yeah, I wrote all of those and actually kind of supervised them getting made um before it became a show. And then when it did become like when it got picked up, I wrote the first two episodes to prove that it could be an 11-minute show. And PBS liked them, and so we went from there. Um, Hired a lot of people to do things. Like, so yeah, so I guess it fit into the whole scheme of the production for the first season. I really focused on the writing. I was the head writer of the show. Also went out to, well, I'm in California now, but at the time it was being made in Massachusetts. So I would fly out to California to record the voice actors with my friend and partner at the time, Will Shepard. And yeah, we would do a lot of the voice directing of the talent, and yeah, so kept us busy, kept us very
Yeah,
busy.
so just curious. So, when you guys once it finally got like approved by PBS, how smooth was it of a process in terms of like actually getting the show up and running? Were there any like potential like obstacles or anything like that that came up?
Well, it's funny. I mean, the thing about making a show is that like an amnesia sets in when you're years away, where it's like it was a breeze, it was so easy, my God. But when you're in it, it's not easy at all. There's so many decisions to be made, there's so much that doesn't exist that you have to create, or dots that need to connect that aren't connecting. And so when you put some miles between you and the starting point, you tend to forget all that stuff, which is difficult when you go to create something else, because you're always just like, boy, that other thing was so much easier to get off the ground than this. But it wasn't. They're all hard. You just don't remember. So yeah, there were a lot of things, a lot of choices to be made. Again, when you look at the final product, it makes sense. So that's the way it always existed, right? No. A lot of decisions have to be made. A lot of like even as far as designs and um, tone, voice, the character names, character like who casting, and character design, and the look and feel of the world, and all of that has to get approved and vetted and talked about and considered. And so there's a lot that goes into it, but no huge hurdles. I mean, PBS, the executives there are, at the time, were really smart, really funny people. And it was a joy working with them. So yeah.
Aw. That's actually really interesting to hear because like for what I understood, I actually thought that like the people who like those who like checked through like the episodes to make sure that they were ready to air, I thought they were very stingy in terms of like what could or could not be shown.
um You know, at times you get that. Especially for a show like Word Girl on a station like PBS, we would have educational or cultural consultants that really kind of looked out for kids as far as whether we were hitting our message or educational goals, and sometimes if we were kind of doing something that might be deemed difficult for kids to like process, right? Something that kids might have a problem with. And it's, again, when you're writing something, it's hard to it's hard to really keep an eye on that. You're trying to be funny first and foremost, especially in a show like WordGirl. And so sometimes you might make a joke that, oh, if seen in a different light, that's probably not a joke that a 7-year-old nothing you like. We're not talking anything super inappropriate, but at the same time, it's something that like, oh, that might be a little older than our audience. And so having people kind of weigh in and say that it's not always a note you want to hear, but when you consider who your audience is, it's a note that we always kind of took seriously. So especially considering who it would come from. Rules and tools. Let's see.
Yeah, this could be I understand it's like kind of like a vague question. So this could be like maybe any guidelines, any like technical skills that you might have that you used like while you were working at Soup to Nuts, basically.
Yeah, I think well, one thing that I learned this in college. I went to a very small school, and I was a drama student, in a drama program of like 8. And so when I went to like for one of my assignments, I had to put on a play. I had to do everything. So I had to build the sets. I had to like figure out the lighting, figure out the sound, do the blocking. I even had to play a couple of roles. So it was like, you have to get your hands dirty and do everything. And I think, when working on a production or working on a job, it's really important to know how the whole machine works, not just your small part of it, especially on a production, because when you do your part of it, you're handing it off to somebody. And if you don't know how that's going to be interpreted by those people that are next in line, that are the next step in the process, it can be frustrating for them, and it can be frustrating for you because you may be speaking different languages. But if you get to know their job, you understand their job, you understand the kind of problems that they face, the pitfalls that they have to navigate, then you can write to that. You can have their thoughts in your mind as you're writing and come up with solutions so that you're not handing them something that they can't work with. And so is that feeling of teamwork, but also of knowing what every step is looking to achieve, right? So you can have an idea of the whole when you're doing your small part. So like, because the production is so huge, there are so many cogs in the machine, and every single one of them is important, whether it's production or creative. And to not have your eye on any of those, if you're like, well, why do we have to follow a schedule? Because if you don't follow a schedule, you'll never finish. And so there are things that you have to consider while you're creating. It can't just all be like, blue sky, I want to do everything and everything. Limitations are good for creativity, and they're also good for production.
Yeah.
So to actually make a show, you have to consider all that stuff, and to know everybody else's job allows you to speak all those different languages, but also have a respect for everybody's job, because everybody's job on a production is important, and you need everybody to be doing the best work that they can do in order to make the best show you can.
Yeah. Okay then. So, I guess kind of like a follow-up to that would be, so then you mentioned like your experience like over at like this small community college. So then did you utilize a lot of the skills that you learned from there, or were there some that you kind of like picked up like while you were working at Soup to Nuts?
Both. I mean, you lay a good foundation at school, because you're building reps and doing all those shows. I learned how to direct. I learned how to talk to actors, how to like consider things other than what's on the page. visual language of people on stage, and that has helped in animation as well. There's a flexibility that you want to subscribe to. You want to be flexible. You want to keep your vision, but you want to be flexible within that vision so that you can consider other voices. You can plus your own work. You don't get tunnel vision and just create something that's just for you and not for a wider audience. But also you want to start out when you're making something to have something to say, and you want to make sure that at the end of the day, the thing that you create says exactly what you want to say. So I learned that kind of like flexibility within reason at school, but also at Soup to Nuts while making things. Because you fail, you make something that at the end of it, an episode or a show idea or something in development that is just like, well, this got away from me somehow. I started out wanting to say this and to make this, and somehow it turned out to do this and not say anything at all. Or the other thing, which is I didn't listen to anybody. I made something really specific and nobody responds to it for some reason. So it's learning those lessons of being, having to be flexible, but to still stick to what you want to say with your work. And yeah, so I learned that at college, and I learned that at work. I learned that before I worked at Soup to Nuts. I was a bartender for 5 years. I learned that bartending, just sometimes just put your head down and wait for the end of the night. It's going to be over soon enough. And sometimes you need that attitude to get to the end of production, because it's like, it's a slog. Sometimes it's like, just put your head down, get through it, just go.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
I never would have thought working at a bartender would be like something that could be helpful in the future.
Oh my God.
At least for your situation.
It's so helpful. Oh my God. Yeah. No, it's huge. Kids go bartend. It's everyone should work a service job, I would say.
Yeah, that's pretty bad, yeah.
Learn a lot. Okay. Well, I mean, I conduct research on in a couple of different ways. Like I'll read books on writing. Just there's some famous ones like Save the Cat, and that's on script writing, or On Writing by Stephen King, which is more about books. But it's about process, and so like really kind of thinking about process and how you write. And then there's just doing the research of watching shows and movies that are out there and seeing how different people construct different stories, how they play with character and mood and voice, and thinking about then how being inspired by that, seeing things that maybe also are maybe not as successful or don't speak to you as much, and why. And then applying some of those lessons to my own work, and good and bad. Just, I see I fall into this trap of repeating this dumb little phrase or dumb little joke, and I really need to stop doing that, because I remember watching this and boy, they said it a lot, and wow, did I get sick of it. And boy, I really like the way they constructed this and this character, and how breezy this character was. I like to incorporate some of that feeling. I mean, you don't copy somebody else's style, but you want to incorporate the feelings of like, oh, that relationship was really cool, and I haven't seen that before. And so you try and watch things with a different eye. And it definitely affects your work, especially when you see something when you see something really good that you're like, I can't do that. That is that just makes you angry. But anger is also an inspiration. So, go from there.
Yeah. Okay. So then, just curious, is that similar to like how you'd approach to writing for a script then for the show, or like, did you ever have to like search up like odd some I'm gonna go with odd things for like certain scripts, or like what would differ in like your research for each episode that you worked on or was writing for?
I mean, sometimes you'd have to go looking for an obscure fact or something to kind of be the missing piece in the story that you're writing to just give it a weird ending or to make a story point stick. But well, if doing like a detective or a mystery story, if your one episode is hitting a certain genre, you'd want to watch. Yeah, I would watch a few different pieces to kind of get that voice in my head. As for regular episodes, I don't know if you do as much research as you do meditating, I guess, on your own experiences, because you want your stories to come from a truthful place, and you want to kind of put in some details for your characters and for your stories that resonate with you and are very specific. And in order to do that, you really have to reflect and think about the story you're going to tell. So you kind of do this internal research of like, what's an emotion I want to tap into? What's a feeling that I had at one time, or a moment in my life that I'd like to recreate the feelings of that, if not the verbatim events that happened. And then what are some really interesting or funny or dopey details that I could pull from that? For example, I will give you a very specific WordGirl example. And I think one of the shorts for WordGirl, that like, what was the word? But WordGirl says to Captain Huggy Face, like, for example, if I said you have pudgy toes, that would be and Captain Huggy Face gets upset. My nickname in college was Pudgy Toes, because, not to overshare, but my feet are like hobbit feet. And so like friends of mine used to say, hey, here comes Pudgy Toes. And so that's a detail that I put into WordGirl, like for Captain Huggy Face, so that yeah. So like that's my own inner research of pulling up a bizarre detail from like 10 years ago at the time, 10 or more years ago.
10.
Sure,
Really?
at the time. Yeah, not now. Oh my God, I'm way. But at the time it was like, oh right, that's a funny, dopey little detail. If she were gonna describe Captain Huggy Face, she'd say like, your pudgy toes. And he'd be like, what the? Why you gotta do that to me? So there. That's that kind of like reflection, I guess, research. It's just kind of opening up your mind to your past and pulling details and stories from there.
Yeah. Now I'm just wondering as to like how many details of like about you personally are in the show now.
I don't know for sure. It's oh boy. I mean, yeah, I can't. I forget. Sorry.
Yeah, completely understandable. Yeah, I'm talking to you about a show from 10 years ago. It's understandable if you can't remember anything.
It's more than 10 years. I think like the first WordGirl we did, the first demo was like 2006, I want to say.
Oh, right. 15 years probably, because there was
Yeah.
the WordGirl anniversary. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and then I think it first came out in 2008, right? So he had been working on it for a couple of years before then.
Yeah.
I mean, I just have a lot of warm memories about the show. It was my first real writing job. It was the first time where I really put my voice into something. It was the first time I got to really have a creative drive on something. I worked with some amazingly talented people, and it was just a lot of fun to see something like to have a dopey idea and put it in a script and have it actually work and have people respond positively to it. As for the fandom, I mean, thank goodness it resonated. People, it wasn't just like, oh, I don't know. I mean, you create these things in a vacuum. You don't, they come out, they're released sometimes a year or more after you write them, and you're with them the whole way through the process, but it's still a long time before other people see them. And you don't know how people are gonna perceive it. You don't know if they're gonna like it, they're gonna hate it. You don't hear. I mean, at the time, 2008 was like, I mean, the internet had been around, but it wasn't, the fandoms online were, it hadn't really taken off at that point, I feel like.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And our age, our demographic that we were shooting for was young, pretty young, like 6 to 8, right? So you're not going online looking for a 7-year-old to review something, it just 7-year-olds don't necessarily go online and write lengthy reviews about it. Well, what'd you think about this latest WordGirl episode? No, you're not finding that. So you just have to kind of like, keep going. I hope people like this. And to find out that it still has fans now, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty cool. I mean, and I'm not sure how the fandom is perceived. I would like to think they're perceived as having a fantastic vocabulary from watching WordGirl. So smart,
Honestly, yeah.
smart, funny, and good taste. So
Definitely the good taste part. Definitely the good taste part.
oh my goodness.
It's nice to know that you still have like really fun memories of the show and the fandom.
Mm-hmm. Writing language, oh, I barely use it. Barely use it. No, it's pretty much my not my whole job. A pretty sizable portion of it, I would say. Yeah, I mean, writing is a huge part of the process. For me, it's the starting part. I can't draw at all. And so to be in animation, first of all, I mean, what am I doing? No. And so it always starts with the words for me, obviously, but having a sense of like where it's going to go to. So trying to write visually. And as far as language, I mean, you want to make sure that the language is reflecting exactly what you want to say. You don't want to come close. You want it to, so we're constantly working and reworking lines, scenes, whatever, to make sure that the actors and the story is saying exactly what we want it to say. And it's, talk about having different tools for different parts of the process, right? For a first draft, you want to use your sledgehammer just to kind of beat the story out and figure out the beats are. But as you go through the line and you get to the script and the final script and the chord and everything, you're using a scalpel to shave, like, is it this word? Is it that word? Is there a comma there? Or is it a semicolon? Or is it ellipses? What's the pause and how long? So you're really getting into, you start very broad and then you get very, 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 very specific. And it's a big part because you don't want to say something you don't mean to say or muddy your message, because it tends to be a very unsatisfying story. And, you want to really hone in on what do I want to say and how do I want these characters to deliver it. And that I think that makes for the best stories and the best characters.
Oh, yeah, I could definitely see that being reflected into just in general the overall rating of the show WordGirl. I can definitely see that. right, okay, so the first fan question is from Bunny Carrot Hunter, and her question is, were there episodes or stories for WordGirl that you wanted to tell but ultimately could not?
Uh, no, I don't think so. I think most of the stories that we wanted to tell, we told. You know, I never really thought we'd want to do an origin story because a child leaving the planet
That
behind
could
would
be a
be
little
tough.
dark.
Yeah, but I mean, we had talented writers who figured out a way to do it. The Miss Power story was one that um, that I felt was really important. It was a interesting like discussion about the power of language, and um, so we did that. I mean, and then a lot of dopey stories in between. Um, and I mean that in the best way. Like dopey for me is a very very big positive because um, there's just something so silly about them that but like that I love that silliness. And it was kind of like that's where the whole world began, was being like, how dumb can I make this? And so it was really fun to see how dumb we could actually make certain things. But there was always that heart. You know, we always wanted to keep the heart in it as well. Like one example that I really love, it was an episode early on, was Becky just trying to have her birthday party because there's a pony there and continually getting called out as word girl and having to leave and just like, I just want my birthday party. Like, and getting angry at the villains just because it's like, can we please just not do this right now or do it later? Or can we just do quickly, please? Like, there's a pony. I want to ride the pony at my birthday party. Like, so, like, that's like, those were the favorite stories to tell, where it was like, there's a truth to that. As a kid, like, there was like, everybody romanticizes the idea of being a superhero, but like birthday parties are awesome, and if you had to not have your birthday party because you have to go superhero, like, that would stink. That would be horrible. And so that push pull of those two different worlds, those were stories that we loved to tell because they felt so personal and so real to a kid and to us, that it was something like, oh, this is we could tell this story and have a lot of fun telling it. So.
Aww. That's really sweet.
But yeah, I think, we told those stories. We tried to mine as much of our own childhood, all the writers, and as like what was important to us as we could. And I don't know that we left. We did a lot of episodes. So I don't know if we left any stone unturned. Um, but
Yeah. Alright, okay, dang. Wow, okay, I was gonna say, I could definitely see how y'all managed to like make the show like very relatable for children. Because like I remember when I watched this as a kid, I was like, huh, wow, how did this show manage to very weirdly manage to relate to me about like my mom buying jeans. That's the one example that I can remember off the top of my head.
I love
Um,
that episode with yes, with yeah, Toby. And they have that little side conversation where it's just like, do you know how many pairs of jeans she tried on? 27. Do you know how many she bought? None. I know. Like having those like like, it doesn't matter if you're superhero and supervillain or if you hate each other. Like there's something about being trapped in a store with your mom who's shopping for anything, jeans, shoes, and you're just like, will this ever end? So, yeah. I mean, again, we tried to pull from that truth, those true feelings of being a kid, of being kind of like powerful and also powerless. So,
yeah. Dang. Okay. All right. I think the next question. This one's from Okay, I can't pronounce her name, and I am so sorry, but her name is Digista Bean. It's like
Okay.
DJACD Bean.
Okay.
Um, and her question was there ever plans for a WordGirl art book with early designs and concepts and notes from the team? I would have bought one so fast.
Ah, no, I don't think so. I mean, the company, Soup to Nuts was such a it's such a small outfit. Um, Massachusetts isn't necessarily known for its animation scene. And Soup to Nuts managed to find like a collection of really dedicated, really talented artists to make their shows. Um, but we didn't have in making the shows, we didn't have the time, the energy, or the money to think of anything other than just making the shows. So like to make an art book or to figure out how to do that, I don't know if it ever, I guess it also wasn't that much of a thing back in the early 2000s. I guess it feels more like a thing now, maybe I just didn't know. Um, but where we were all at and what we were all doing, it was like just getting the shows like done and produced and keeping everybody relatively sane seemed like a huge endeavor. And so to kind of move anything past that felt like I don't even know how to do that. So yeah, no, we didn't consider making an art book of initial designs. And to tell you the truth now, I'm not even sure where any of those are, because Soup to Nuts closed down. Scholastic owned the company, and maybe they have that data because it was all done on computers, and maybe they don't. I wouldn't even know where to begin to look for it. So, yeah, sorry.
Aw,
Yeah, I know
that's
that's
no, that's okay.
give like a happy
Okay.
question. It's all gone into the void. So, jeez, dark note to.
And yeah, I mean, no, it's completely understandable in a way. Like, yeah, the studio shut down, so and also the fact of like not being able to have time to like create other stuff. Because yeah, y'all were a powerhouse in Zip to Nuts.
A lot of talented people working very, very hard. So yeah, yeah.
All right, okay. Here's the final fan question. And I might have to define a couple of things for you. That's very ironic. I just realized that.
Okay.
Okay, so this is from Ali O, and her question was, have you seen the WordGirl 15th anniversary sign?
I have not. No, I haven't.
Okay. Just curious, do you know what a sign is?
No. No. Oh, yes. I do. I do. An online magazine. Yes.
Kinda, yeah. So like I think this happened like I think the fans were working on this for like a couple of months, which is amazing. But it was basically like a sort of like online digital like magazine that they'd make in which fans would like put in like a bunch of their like fan art as well as like potential like fan works, fanfics that they write. There's a whole bunch of like collaborative stuff put
Oh,
into like
wow.
to present it like a magazine. Yeah. And I think in the folder that they shared for fans, they even put in some like extra like merch stuff, which would be like some more fan art stickers that you could print on your own. Um, but yeah, I think that was a very huge collaborative effort in like the fandom, from what I remember. I
Hmm.
I think I don't think I was around for when they were actually making it, but from the sounds of it, it was made with like a lot of love. So,
Oh, that's
uh,
awesome. How would I
yeah.
see this?
Ooh, good question. give me a quick second.
Hey.
I am very sure that I saved the link to this somewhere because I was like, what the heck? They made this? I need to keep this forever. Okay, let me just double check something real quick. All right, this should take you. Where's the chat button?
Oh, well, you could just email it to me. That'd probably be the best. So
All
that
right,
way,
okay, yeah.
because I'm slow on things. I'm doing a lot of things now, and I can't always get to things when I like immediately want to. So I'm afraid that we would close this Zoom and the link would be gone, and I'd be like, oh, well, there it goes.
Oh, yeah, definitely, definitely. Right, okay. This one is, are you happy with what you and the crew at Soup to Nuts have made with WordGirl? In other words, if you were to do WordGirl all over again, would you change anything or keep it all the same?
I wouldn't change anything. I would keep it all the same. It had such a spirit to it. It had such I think, a good feeling. I think it was, you know, everybody that started working on it just took ownership of it quickly, because it was just such a lovable show with lovable characters, and again, the amount of talent that we had, just animation talent, storyboard talent, writing talent, the voice cast was amazing, and there was a clear vision behind it, and everybody shared that vision. And I think Soup to Nuts was like a scrappy team of underdogs making something really great. And I'm really proud of the show. I'm proud of the show, proud of the work that everybody did on it. And I don't know if there was a bigger budget, or if there was like more time, or this or that, if it would have that same feeling. And I think like you could feel the love and the dedication from and the talent from the people who made it in the show. So yeah, I wouldn't change anything. It's pretty great.
Yeah, what would you change about it? It's pretty great. Characters, writing done by you and an amazing team, and the animation and everything that goes behind it.
Yeah, you could always look at something you made, look back on, and be like, oh, we could have done that better, we could have done that better, blah blah blah. As you go through, career, and you continue to make stuff, you hope that you just keep getting better and look back on your stuff and be like, oh yeah, I could have made that better. But you also have to appreciate what it was, where you were at in your creative journey, or whatever you want to call it, and what was made in the moment with the tools you had on hand. And again, I'm super proud of the show, super proud of everybody's work on it. And I think, anyone who's come in contact with that show, as far as like working on it, that like has loved it, has loved their time on it, and loved like the show itself, and working on it, and wanted to give more to the creative aspect of it, because it was such a playground. It was such a fun playground to play in. And so, I mean, when you can make something like that, it's pretty cool, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Huh. I think that was all of the questions that I had to ask you. Yay, we made it through them.
Yay!
Yeah. Once again, Jack, thank you so much for being willing to do this interview with me.
Absolutely. No, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for That's very sweet.